Ruby Grapefruit, we appreciate it. Cheers to you, brother.
Ruby Grapefruit's my number one in all sparkling drinks.
This is Big Brunson Reed, and you're watching The Wrestling Collectors with my main man, Ted, from Wrestling for Sale.
For nearly 8 years, I've run WrestlingForSale.com, the world's greatest wrestling merchandise marketplace. I bought and sold over 10,000 vintage wrestling collectibles. Along the way, I've had the privilege of meeting and interviewing some of the world's most passionate collectors. Call them obsessive, call them crazy. Whatever you call them, join me as we explore their never-before-seen piles of gold. These wrestling historians and wrestling archivists strive for one thing, the Holy Grail. I'm your host, Ted Hirsch, and this is The Wrestling Collectors. I mean, outside of just being shoe friends, I would consider you to be one of the best clothing collectors there is, and you've really acquired some incredible shirts, so I'd love to get into that. Do you want to start at the beginning and just let us know when you started watching wrestling?
Yeah, so essentially it's like, I almost started watching out of the womb. Born in 86, but I trend to go a little older. My dad was a fan. My brother's 2 years older, he was a fan. So like, I was inundated at a very early age. And in Cleveland, it was one of the great wrestling spots for the territories. When you look at, you got WCW/JCP, NWA, whatever you can call it there. WWF was always there. So literally, Ted, within 18 months, I'm at the 87 Survivor Series as a kid. Like, I'm there in 87 and 88. And it's funny, I have the pictures. We stayed at the time, like the Cavs arena was down in Richfield, so it was between Cleveland and Akron. Probably the most famous thing to happen at the arena was Michael Jordan's shot over Craig Elo, which is a sad moment in Cleveland sports history, the shot. But we got a hotel down there, Thanksgiving night. I'm sure a couple of Budweisers are consumed, et cetera, et cetera. And our folks they made like fight posters of us. And I'm King Kong Wesley and my brother Steamboat Roger. And they're putting these all around, like, oh, there's going to be another match after at the hotel. And it's the same hotel a lot of the boys are at. So there's like a big buffet there, post-Thanksgiving, all of that good stuff. And allegedly, fortunately, none of the parties are live to confirm or deny, the Macho Man had hit on my mom or something along those lines, which makes sense in the fact that we never had a Macho Man shirt as kids. So I think otherwise I would have had a Youth Macho King somewhere in my collection, but unfortunately we were not. So I was inundated very quickly into wrestling.
Did you have a favorite wrestler growing up?
Oh yeah, I mean, you're a kid, so you're a total Hulkamaniac, Hogan Mark, like Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, WCW side, Sting, Lex Luger, the Road Warriors, like, had those, like, the red spike pad, Legion of Dooms. It's like, you're what every kid, like, watches at that stuff. Like, until probably, and it's 92 is when it starts to transition. It's, like, crazy how much transitions 92. If you see Rumble 92 / WrestleMania 8 card do the Survivor Series 92, it's like a completely different roster. But from then on, it was straight Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, which is like, I'd say everyone's kind of favorite of that era. And growing up in Cleveland, like in the inner city, like every race and denomination, like we all loved Razor because he's like, he spoke to you, and like that was the guy. And like this shirt right here I used to wear as a kid, the purple Razor. So I met him twice as a kid. I was fortunate to meet him backstage a year later in 95, which is such the down point in wrestling like history. If you look at like attendance and all these other things, him and the 1-2-3 Kid were doing a signing. I met him wearing that shirt. It was like a long line. They claimed they were at the hospital overnight. We kind of know what that means, but he still taped the ribs, just selling it regardless. So we got this photo with him, and then 6 months before he passed, he was signing in Stockton. The Wolfpack saying Stockton Con. So we gotta do it. So had the same shirt. Luckily it was a large, buy it baggy in the mid 90s. Great trend. I show him the picture of it, and he's totally like, him and X-Pac, Waltman, whatever you call him, like, they totally remember, like, oh, is it that car dealership and all that? And like, Razor's like, oh, that was my favorite Razor shirt, is like a wrestler too, not the AOP. So hopefully that'll help increase the value of that Razor shirt. It's Ray's like, that was the shirt he wore the most.
You know what's very funny? I can actually confirm that. As you know, I did Complex Con, and I think it was 2019, and
yeah,
I had a booth with Chalkline, and we had a lot of investment and help from WWE, and they sent out Hall and Nash, and one of the coolest things was me talking to Razor, just like walking through all the merch and pulling all the Razor stuff, and he said he always loved that purple shirt because it was so subtle, but then when you look on the back, it's really cool. Mm-hmm. So Wes, do you want to get into the kind of items that you like to collect?
Yeah, I would say it's like kind of like one of my rules, like t-shirts, like wear your shirts. So like for me, I'm like 6'3", 6'4", like 250, you know, like mostly muscles, you can see. Like that's gonna take away a lot of your 84s, 85. It's just, if I can't wear it, I just don't want it sitting there or framed. So to me, it goes about 87 till about 93, that's where it kind of changes. New gen, you go away from the more shirts with like the colorful designs, it gets more black, screen printed, all that, which like I wasn't quite as into. I'll go a little bit in like 94. They're still good event tees. The Rumble 94 tee is a great event tee. Some new, I have a couple new gen ones of guys I like there's a couple ones I kept. Like I still have my 316 shirt from 97. Like the Outsiders first shirt's like an incredible shirt for that.
Wes, do you want to get into your top five? And, you know, keep in mind, top five isn't necessarily the most valuable shirts that you have.
Oh, yeah.
I was fortunate enough to interview Fig Heel, who I would consider, maybe outside of Matt Cardona, is probably the greatest toy collector on the planet.
Yes.
His holy grail was a pretty basic Austin 316 toy that just kept eluding him for whatever reason.
Like I still have shirts that were my dad's. My dad died in 96. Like I have some that were his. I have some that were mine. Even some that were my brother's. Because like, luckily I've been bequeathed a great amount of information with these things. So first, like to me, Superfly Snuka right here. It's like not a lot of people have this. This is actually my dad's shirt. So like I used to wear it all the time in college. I'll send you some pics. There's one of me passed out at a party in it. Even though this is made 89, 90, it really looks more like his like peak 84, 85, like his body and physique. At that point, obviously 89, 90, his career's a little south. It's like just a great shirt. Another great wearable shirt. It's like the first Brett catalog t-shirt, not tank top. Like I was just watching SummerSlam 91 the other day. To me, this is Bret Hart, sharpshooter, Mr. Perfect, like celebrating with Stu and Helen. You watch a Superstars, like that's what it's all about. And like, it's another great shirt. I met Bret last year in San Jose, and he was the same way. He's like, dude, that's like one of my favorite shirts. And I'm like, it's just a great shirt. The pink, your color changes, like it just pops really well, you know?
To me, that is the iconic Bret shirt. That is the Austin 316 equivalent of Bret. To me, that like when I unload my collection, when my wife gets real pissed and need to make some moves, that'll be one of the last shirts I ever saw. To me, that's my favorite match of all time. It's my favorite pay-per-view of all time, and that shirt gives me just as many memories as the orange sherbet event shirt.
Sid rules the world. I think you got this semi-recent the last couple of years.
I'll zoom in on the crotch too. I'm sorry, but that's
it's a great.
Yeah, there it is.
It's the bulge we all appreciate. My brother had this shirt as a kid, and like, it's funny if you ever rewatch '89, watch Skyscrapers, like how over Sid is perpetually over everywhere, and like he's a meme now, and people laugh at like some of the promos, like we're live, pal. But he would still be crazy over now.
It's a shame because he kind of came along during Hulkamania, but if Hulk Hogan didn't exist, he is the prototype for what a wrestler should be.
This one I actually picked up from you. Also, my dad had this, like, love this one, the Big Boss Man. Like
Love
heel
that.
boss man, fat boss man. Just a great shirt.
All right, Wes, why don't we get into your top 5?
Oh yeah, for sure. First one we're going with, like, this is like my childhood. Like, I think everyone is who, if you grew up in the 80s.
Yep.
Like, it's not the most expensive shirt. Jimmy Hart might have signed it. We don't really know, but like Hogan Zeus, like, I don't have, like, that's one of the rare figures recent I bought. Mattel did that Ultimate collection of them. Like, it's just iconic, and like whatever the Zeus matches were, they were, but they were just like so good to watch.
That, like, to me, I mean, obviously that shirt just had the crossover appeal because it also was the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that, you know, I'm not one of these people that buys a lot of bootlegs. I'm not one of these people that I frankly only made one shirt, and it has to do with that.
Yep.
I kind of leave that to the masters. I leave that to the Matt Bachmans and the Sash Pages of the world. But I did want to share that I love that movie so much, and I love the movie Friday so much that I created this, which replaced Hulk Hogan. And I did feature Zeus because he is a crossover star. He's not only in Friday, but he's also in that movie No Holds Barred. And it was, you know, it was sad timing because he just did pass, but, you know, a charity that he was quite fond of, all of the proceeds went to that.
The next step, it's funny, we were just talking about marking out, but like, to me, like, Blue Sid Justice is one of my absolute favorite shirts. So similar to Adam with vintage wrestling tees, like, I bought this when I was in college, like 2008, on eBay instead of like paying attention in class, and like maybe for like $20 or something like that, and which felt like a lot of money to me at 22. And you're like, it was a good investment. And you wear it everywhere, but like the colors, the neon, like it just pops off so well. And like the Sid Justice run was short, but it's like, oh man, that's just such a good shirt.
It's so memorable, and it's crazy considering the Bloodline storyline's been going on for 3 years now.
Mhm.
How impactful that, like, 3 to 4 month run was. I guess it was longer than 3 to 4 months. Like, you know, the 6 month run.
Yeah.
We're seeing the culmination of SummerSlam '91 going into WrestleMania 8.
Oh, no question about that.
So many iconic things happen that all those memories go into that shirt and make it one of me up there with Boss Man is one of the most important things to own from the golden era.
And in Rumble 92, he's not wrong. Hogan's the heel in that situation, and he's booed. They dubbed the crowd to change it. It's hilarious.
I mean, look, Sid, Bobby Heenan, a few of these guys knew about Hogan being a heel for years.
Jesse Ventura got it right. There's no doubt about it. The next one, it's funny, we've just been talking about it around it, is like SummerSlam 91. Got this one from Josh during the quick retirement tour. It's a little faded, but honestly I kind of like a good fade on some of those.
I'll say one thing just about, like, super nerdy detail about that shirt. I've had one that was like factory sealed mint, and it was pure orange. Okay, the second it touches water, it turns to creamsicle.
Oh, it's great. And you know, I was just at SummerSlam, and I met a couple of fellow collectors. Met Aaron, Reignite Wrestling fan, great person. Then Corey Kids XL, another legend who's
great guy. Love him.
I mean, the fastest rising star in the vintage market right now. This is very special to me. This match, White Castle of Fear, Sting Vader. WCW is doing those ridiculous videos at the time, and like, to a kid who is more WWF than WCW, that got me totally hooked. Just met Sting the other day, put the shirt on backward just so I could get the hit pick on there, and like, he's like, oh yeah, that's some of my favorite stuff.
I'm jealous of the figure display. Like, I never got into toys. I mean, I, like, when I was a kid, obviously I had a bunch, but it's just one of those things where they're so cool and so beautiful, and they don't take up that much space.
No, well, it started off like all this stuff does. Like
Mm.
you're okay. When you start like buying these shirts, like, maybe I'll get 4, 5, 10. Like I had most of these Hasbro's in storage, and I had the green card ones, which I know you know enough to know that. Like I had 1, 2, 3 Kid in my storage unit, and I'm like, maybe I'll get a ring and just have it in there. And it's turned into like all of like this, and I have 30 min on card ones that I'm like getting signed at conventions, and it's like anything, you become an addict. So it's fun.
The 1, 2, 3 Kid is the only Hasbro that I own.
Did you get the burned one from Cardona? Was that the one that you bought?
Yeah.
Christmas morning, 1994. All a young Matt Cardona wanted for Christmas was a Hasbro 1, 2, 3 Kid wrestling figure. And I was a good boy that year. I was a very good boy, but Santa did not bring me the 1, 2, 3 Kid, and it ruined my Christmas. And I spent the next 4 years saving every penny, every nickel, every dime, every quarter, every dollar until I had enough money to buy my very own Hasbro 1, 2, 3 Kid wrestling figure. And this is it. This is the OG. This is the one I bought on eBay in 1998. I've kept it in the box ever since. It is the holy grail of my collection. And last year, I met up with Sean Waltman. I met up with X-Pac. I met up with the 1, 2, 3 Kid. We took a picture. He even signed it for me. And it's been the centerpiece of my collection ever since. But not anymore. Hammerstein Ballroom, I made history. I made history. I beat Joey Janela in the middle of that ring. And did I get to celebrate? Did I get to celebrate in front of my hometown crowd? No. Did I get to celebrate with my hot wife, Chelsea Green? No. Did I get to celebrate with my best friend, Brian Myers? No. Did I get to celebrate in front of my parents? No. Because the fucking 1, 2, 3 Kid ruined it. You ruined it, Sean. You ruined my celebration. Tomorrow night, Los Angeles, GCW, Welcome to Heartbreak, the major players against X-Pac and Joey Janela. And we are gonna ruin your comeback. We are going to kill your comeback. But you're not going to heaven, Sean. And this isn't my holy grail anymore. Because you guys, you, Joey, and this 1, 2, 3 Kid figure, you're gonna burn in hell.
If you're a collector, it's a fun time for the nostalgia of it all. But it's not as costly as getting into like t-shirts, you know. But I also at the same point, do you want to spend for 1, 2, 3 Kids $600, $700, $800 on an action figure? It's a harder stuff to swallow, and it's harder to tell your significant other that you're then spending that money to.
You know, I question myself on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
I shouldn't because technically I'm supposed to be like a puppet master, but I definitely don't follow the golden rules of Scarface, and I do tend to get a little high on my own supply.
1985, Mega Powers explode. 1989 is my favorite year of wrestling for both companies. Like, watch WCW, Flair Steamboat, Sting Muta, Terry Funk. Like, they're missing all the horsemen, but like you don't skip a beat, and like it's incredible.
It doesn't matter because 89 the focus is on Flair.
Yes,
Does not need an entourage whatsoever. It's the year where the in-ring work really speaks for itself.
Oh, no question.
If we want to say like 85 through 88 is very much him creating this persona that the masses kind of either love or hate. I think 89 is truly the year where it's like, I don't know what the motivation is. Like, did he have something against Savage that he had to like try to one up WrestleMania 3? But he has 3 matches in there that I would consider to be 3 of the best matches of all time. I've had in my possession 2 of those shirts one of which being a Clash of Champions Raging Cajun, which is
Yeah.
very discreetly featured in the 89 catalog. But the one that I kind of have as a save search on eBay that I'm convinced exists, because I think everything exists at this point, is the Chi-Town Rumble shirt.
Okay. Yeah.
I've never seen one. But to tell you the truth, I never saw a Starrcade 83, and then I got it. So why not hold out hope? Why not use eBay for like a unicorn item that you've never seen proof of?
I enjoyed the Terry Funk Flair matches even more than Flair Steamboat. Like, that's how good all of it was.
Well, I mean, considering the build actually starts after the Flair Steamboat match, and seeing Terry Funk in like a suit, like a tuxedo, is like super funny. And yes, I agree that little program that they had prior to Flair, I think, was it Flair into Luger or Sting? I don't know, but that bridge in between was phenomenal. It's so good and so underrated and really not talked about as much as it should be.
To me, this is like my go-to shirt to wear at a rock concert. Like,
so much, love it. One of the great shirts to wear with a leather jacket. You know, when you go to bars, when you go to restaurants, and something you can get away with because it doesn't necessarily look like a wrestling shirt.
oh, it's type of shirt. Yeah, exactly. It holds up. Like, if you watch their matches, and like the theme song's iconic too. You know.
Yeah,
And then,
I mean, Rick Derringer can do no wrong. That's
No.
very much one of my guys. I mean, between that and the Hogan theme, I don't think he gets enough credit in terms of his contribution to wrestling, because those are two top 10 themes of all time.
oh, no question about that. And I mean, definitely after like a few claws, I might start playing like Slick Jive Soul Bro, and my girlfriend's like, "Shut up!" And it's like that era. The music's just so good.
You know, that's a cover.
Okay, I did not know that.
No, I'm going to edit it in. I have the record. So on the B side of that record, which is very interesting, is actually the Junkyard Dogs original theme song. Same record. So
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but this dude was like so over in the wrestling world that they covered side A and side B of this record. Which was actually the Twin Towers theme also.
Mm-hmm. And then my number one's actually been seen on here in a recent episode with Great American Stash. It's traded a few homes, but it will not leave this one ever. Another WCW crew, but Wrestle War 1992, which was when I got into this until you get involved into this. And I'm like, that is the shirt I want from that point. And then now you look 20, 30 plus years later, and you're like, oh my God, like, how many Stone Steve Austin shirts are there? Basically like 3. It's like that, Blondes, and the one with him and Lady Blossom. Like a Rick Rude shirt, incredibly rare. A Paul Lee shirt, incredibly rare. And then like even Bobby Eaton's in that ton of stuff. And like love Bobby Eaton. And then like on the babyface side, it's just like every guy that hits for you, like a natural Dustin Rhodes, like peak Sting, like
I would consider that a no doubt about it top 3 WCW shirt. Paulie recently said that he's the GOAT over Bobby Heenan because Bobby Heenan's dead.
Yeah.
I actually agree with him. I'm one of these people that really needs to get out of the mindset of everything from 85 to 92 is the end all be all and no one can ever surpass it. Paul Heyman's the most important person in wrestling, probably outside of Vince McMahon over the last 30 years. ECW is probably the most influential body of work on the current product. Everything that he did in WCW from 1989 to 1992 is so cool and so interesting, and the people that he worked with and the people he elevated. If you look at the Dangerous Alliance, they're one of my favorite factions of all time, and it's basically guys who are just kind of like had nothing to do. I'm like, let's throw them into the mix. Like this is Larry Zabisco and guys like Arn Anderson, who were a major part of a faction that was kind of like dead at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Austin, what do we do with this guy? This is one of the great talents of all time, probably the best talent of all time, but like we have nothing for him. Rick Rude is new to the company. We have nothing for him. Let's throw him all with Paulie Dangerously and let him do something that features, to me, a top 5 faction of all time. There's so many Horseman items. There's so many NWO items. There's so many DX items. This is the only Dangerous Alliance item. And for that, in addition to having the greatest collection of baby faces in the company on the shirt, definitely solidifies it to me as a top 2 or 3 shirt in the history of WCW items.
What was supposed to then happen, Larry gets kicked out. It's supposed to be the Diamond Stud gets brought in, and then he gets the Razor gig. At that point, he was changing, going to Watts as the booker. And, like, imagine if he had a shirt with then, like, the Diamond Stud on it. But then, like, it's such a...
Imagine if it was a Diamond Stud shirt. How cool would that be?
Oh, trust me. I mean, I know it's changed. It's changed hands. You are the holder now.
That's not moving the ball.
No, trust me. I remember seeing that on like a Twitter, WCW Deep Cuts, which is a great Twitter follow. And they had the ad from the merch booth. And I think I took a picture of it. And I sent it to me, you and Stash. And some people had like talked about it, but I don't know how many people had seen it. And then I'm like, oh my God. And like a lot of the mannerisms are the same. He still has like fall away slam, razor's edge, the toothpick, like. It's like 65% of the way of becoming Razor Ramon.
So I would consider to be one of the few experts in the world on these shirts. Where do you see the market going? I know, and I kind of benefited from it, and I'm not going to deny it. In 2020 and 2021, these shirts were exploding and going for crazy amounts of money. And even me, like, shirts, they're not selling for as much as they used to, but there are shirts on the very high tier that are going for tons of money, and like that's not slowing down, and that's what I'm seeing. What do you think is going to happen with this market over the next like 1-2 years?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think like I got involved like during COVID, it's like 2020, and I'm like, all right, I'm never gonna spend more than $200 on a shirt, which was a fool's errand, and that just keeps going up and up and up. I think after 21 happened, like there's a little bit of smoothing. Like I think every person on here said this, like the AOP craze kind of died. Like, it's funny, like most stuff post 96 doesn't go for as much. Like obviously there's the it's like the school of thought of where you're on in wrestling history. Is Mind Games / Buried Alive the most important shirt in wrestling history or not? There's those who do, and there's those who don't. Pick your poison. But like, I think the more current stuff doesn't go for as much. Like, there's still gonna be those. SummerSlam '98, WrestleMania 14 will always hold value. Bash at the Beach '98. Like those ones will like. I think they've smoothed a little bit. I think the major grails of your pre-93 past, like you go on eBay all the time. Like even on eBay now, there's like 8 JCP like bandanas, and they're all hitting triple figures for bandanas. And like I think that stuff is always good currency. Like if you're ever looking to flip, like, you're finding those. Like I didn't put it in my. It was in my top 5, but I took it out when I put the No Holds Barred in there. But like this Bundy right now, I got that off eBay, and it's an XL, and it's long, and it's probably one of the crispier XL Bundys out there right now. So eBay's been great.
No matter what, that's a top 10 shirt for me.
Oh yeah.
I think the coolest. Well, there's so many reasons why it's cool. I don't want to say the coolest. One of the coolest things about it is that shirt very much could have been one color on black.
Yep. There's
white and there's beige.
Yeah. Oh no question about that.
There are little details, little minutia in that shirt that if you really understand the merch and you understand how important that is, to me, that's a top 10 shirt. no matter what. That is my. Do you want to talk about shirts that look good in a leather jacket, or things that you can wear to dinner and not worry about spilling on, or whatever you want to call it? That's it for me.
Say there's, I don't know, 40 to 50 insane collectors, kind of like all of us. There's not 40 to 50 of these shirts around. So there's still always going to be that demand. And you say, hey, will they leave it, because of kids, like whatever? Maybe. But I think you'll still be able, all that stuff's going to hold value. And some of it will even go up if it's still in good condition, I saw we did tacos at the one spot, Detroit. Great tacos, by the way. And I mentioned, he's like, dude, you got to get that. And it was like, thing is, the tax refund check came in. And I'm like, well, it was gone between that and this hat, which to me is the most important wrestling hat that there is. Like,
yeah,
Saturday Night's Main Event, you got it in the backdrop. I didn't even get to go on my spiel on that. Like, that's one of the things that hooked me into wrestling more than anything. Because when you don't have the music, it hurts it a lot.
The song that they have is kind of nasty, but it's not Animotion.
Mm-hmm.
I was very fortunate to see Animotion at a festival that was a fucking nightmare, but I did see that. And I did get to wear the shirt for the marks. My friend Peter Rosenberg, who was the first guest on the show, we hold Saturday Night's Main Event in the highest regard. It is the most 80s crossover cool thing about the great pageantry and branding and everything about mid to late 80s wrestling. I have to have every single SNME item there is. I have the jacket, I have the hat, I have the shirt. It is, to me, one of the holy grails that not a lot of people talk about, but the Saturday Night's Main Event thing in general, shirt, jacket, hat, sweatshirt, all must-owns.
It's an easy watch. It's like an hour 10 on the network. 5 matches. You already know what you're getting. You're getting your Hogan. You're getting your main secondary program. You're going to get a tag match. It's probably 2 out of 3 falls and it's going to hit. Random mid-card feud. And then it's like the last match, because everyone's going to sleep. It's like, all right, Big Boss Man debuted. Let's put him on there. Let's put Royal Rumble 92. To me, that's one of the most important shirts in like wrestling history. It's the ultimate all-star game of like characters. It's essentially the end of the golden era. Also see how far Hercules' hair moved back in the span of like 6 months is equally impressive.
I touched on it in the Ray Great American Stash episode. To me, the 92 Rumble shirt is the WWE equivalent of the War Games 92 shirt that we discussed. It's a who's who. It's everyone's on it. The event is incredible. To most, it's considered to be the greatest Royal Rumble of all time. Ric Flair wins. Yep. Wes, that was so fun. In addition to just being one of the true great wrestling shirt collectors in the world, I love hanging out with you. I love eating with you and talking food and discussing White Claw flavors. You're a true inspiration to the collecting world. We're so fortunate to have people like you who are genuine and cool and interesting and share a love like I do for this product. So thank you so much.
Oh, dude, honestly, thank you. It's like, it's been a fun journey watching the first Wrestling Collectors. I think I said to my brother, I'm like, you know what? One of my goals is to get on that show one day. So, much like your boy Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12, the boyhood dream has come true. And it's like, there's a lot of good people in this collecting thing. I mean, mostly everyone's pretty positive, and like, it's been super fun because we're always chasing that nostalgia, the stuff we had when we were kids. So it's like, it's super cool to see everyone kind of like in that same space. And it's like, we may not always agree, like, hey, I think this shirt's good, that shirt's good, but it's all like optics. So like, super fun being on here. I know we're gonna crush some, go back to the Greyhound. You know, once the season gets back going, I can tell you, everything that's wrong with some of your favorite teams.
Well, thank you so much for your time. That was so fun. Truly one of the great collectors in the world. Wes, thank you so much. That was the best. Thank you.